Did you know that some of the greatest minds of the Middle Ages weren't just thinking deep thoughts or writing dusty books? Did you know they were actually building mind-blowing machines and gadgets that seem straight out of science fiction? From the 9th to the 15th century, these masterminds were busy changing the world, one brilliant invention at a time. Number 8. Al-Jazari. Born in the 12th century in what is now modern-day Turkey, Badi al-Zaman Abu Ali's Ismail ibn al-Razaz al-Jazari was not just a clever inventor. He was a true master of mechanics. He worked as a chief engineer at the Artwid court in Diyarbakir for over 2 decades. His genius wasn't just about making things work. It was about making them work with incredible precision and even a touch of artistry. Al-Jazari's most famous work is a book he wrote himself called The Book of Knowledge of Ingenious Mechanical Devices. This book, completed in 1206, is not just a collection of ideas. It is a detailed guide filled with drawings and instructions for building a huge range of machines. It showed how to construct 50 different mechanical devices, grouped into several categories, including water clocks, various vessels and figures suitable for drinking sessions, hand-washing devices, fountains, musical automata, and water-raising machines. One of Al-Jazari's most stunning creations was the elephant clock. This clock was a marvel of medieval engineering and art. It stood tall, adorned with figures of an elephant, a Chinese dragon, a phoenix, and a figure of an Indian mahout. The clock kept time using a complex system of water power. A hidden basin inside the elephant held water, and a float with a string attached would slowly sink as the water drained. When it reached a certain level, it would trigger a mechanism. This mechanism caused a figure of a scribe to rotate, a bird to chirp, and a serpent to descend and then rise again, marking the passage of half an hour. Each hour was indicated by a figure dropping a ball into a vase making a sound. The detail in this clock was incredible, prodding not just the ability to tell time but also a deep understanding of automatons and self-operating systems. The elephant itself was a symbol of strength and reliability, and its presence added a touch of royalty to the device. Another incredible invention from Al-Jazari was his massive water-powered pump, known as the Saqiya pump. This machine was designed to lift water from rivers or wells to higher ground for irrigation or for use in cities. Unlike simpler water wheels, Al-Jazari's pump incorporated a connecting rod crank mechanism, which was a revolutionary idea at the time. This mechanism converted the circular motion of a water wheel into the linear motion of a piston, allowing the pump to push water efficiently. Historical accounts suggest this pump was capable of lifting water from significant depths and delivering it with power, making it incredibly useful for communities that relied on steady water supplies. Farmers found their work became easier after this machine appeared, allowing them to cultivate more land. Al-Jazari was also a pioneer in creating automatons that performed various functions. He designed a hand-washing automaton that featured a figure holding a jug. When a person pulled a lever, water would flow from the jug and a small door would open, revealing a soap dispenser. After washing, the used water would drain away, and another mechanism would cause the figure to offer a towel. This device was not just practical, it was entertaining and demonstrated a level of mechanical sophistication that was far ahead of its time. It showed an understanding of hydraulics and automated sequences that would only be fully explored centuries later. Complexity of its internal gears and levers was detailed in his book, allowing future engineers to study and learn from his designs. His detailed diagrams and step-by-step instructions were a big deal. Before Al-Jazari, many inventors kept their methods secret, but he laid out his work for everyone to see. This open approach to engineering was a huge contribution, as it allowed his knowledge to be passed down and built upon by others. He didn't just build machines, he wrote the instruction manual for future generations of engineers. His writings covered everything from the precise measurements of gears to the types of materials to use, which made his book a foundational text for mechanical engineering. It became a blueprint for others to follow. Al-Jazari's work also included various water-driven musical automata, which were essentially self-playing instruments powered by water flow. These devices would play different tunes at set intervals, creating a continuous and automated musical performance. These automata were not just toys. They showed a deep understanding of rhythm and sound production, integrated with complex mechanical systems. They provided entertainment in royal courts and at gatherings, mesmerizing onlookers with their automated movements and sounds. Creation of such complex musical devices required knowledge of both acoustics and intricate timing mechanisms. His insights into these areas were remarkable for his era. The influence of Al-Jazari extended far beyond his lifetime. Scholars and engineers who came after him in both the Islamic world and in Europe studied his book closely. His principles of mechanics, especially his use of camshafts, crankshafts, and segmented gears, were later adopted and further developed. He truly represented a golden age of Islamic science and engineering, proving that the Middle Ages were a time of incredible innovation, not just darkness. His precise drawings and detailed descriptions helped preserve his inventions, making them accessible to scholars for centuries. These records allowed for the construction of replicas in modern times, proving the accuracy and brilliance of his original designs. Number 7. Su Song. In the bustling capital of Kaifeng, during the Song dynasty in 11th century, China lived a brilliant polymath named Su Song. Born in 1020, Su Song was a true Renaissance man before the Renaissance even began. He was a statesman, astronomer, cartographer, pharmacologist, and, most importantly for us, a master mechanical engineer and inventor. His most incredible achievement, a colossal astronomical clock tower, stands as a monument to his genius. It was not just a clock. It was a sophisticated observatory, a planetarium, and a time-keeping device all rolled into one magnificent structure. Song's clock tower, completed in 1088, was a towering structure over 30 feet tall, a true wonder of the medieval world. What made it so revolutionary was its ingenious power source, a massive water wheel connected to an escapement mechanism. An escapement is a device that allows a wheel to turn step by step rather than letting it spin freely, which is crucial for accurate timekeeping. Su Song's design used a complex system of scoops and levers that filled and emptied as water flowed, turning the main wheel in precise, measured steps. This constant regulated motion powered the entire tower. Water was constantly poured into the scoops from a tank above, and as each scoop filled, it would tip, emptying the water and causing the wheel to rotate. This mechanism provided the continuous power needed for the clock's many functions. Inside this incredible tower, there were several levels, each serving a different purpose. At the very top was an armillary sphere, an astronomical instrument used to observe and calculate the positions of celestial bodies. This sphere was fully mechanized, rotating automatically with the movement of the heavens, allowing observers to track stars and planets throughout the night and day. Below that was a celestial globe, a representation of the night sky, which also rotated automatically, showing the current positions of the stars and constellations. These rotating instruments showed the daily and yearly cycles of the sky, but the clock tower wasn't just for astronomers. It also displayed the time for everyone. On the exterior of the tower, there were various rotating figures and gongs that would emerge from doors and strike bells or drums at regular intervals, marking the hours and even quarter hours. These automata served as visual and auditory timekeepers, making the passage of time clear to the public. They were dressed in official robes, signifying their role in timekeeping. The sounds and movements were precisely synchronized with the internal mechanisms, creating a public spectacle of time. One of Su Song's most significant contributions was his innovative use of a chain drive mechanism within the clock. While simple chain drives existed before, Su Song's application in his clock tower was highly advanced. He used a continuous chain to transmit power from the escapement-driven waterwheel to the various rotating elements and astronomical instruments within the tower. This allowed for efficient and smooth transfer of motion, ensuring the accuracy of the celestial movements and the time displays. This chain drive was a key component in the tower's overall mechanical efficiency and accuracy. It made the entire system more robust and reliable. Song also wrote a comprehensive treatise about his clock tower titled Yi Sang Fayo, which means New Design for an Armillary Sphere and Celestial Globe. This book, completed in 1092, contained detailed diagrams and descriptions of the clock's construction and operation. It was a priceless record of his engineering genius, ensuring that his knowledge would not be lost to history. Scholars who came after him could study his methods and build upon his work. The detailed drawings in his book showed every gear, every chain, and every moving part, almost like a modern blueprint. This record was so complete that historians and engineers in modern times have been able to reconstruct working models of his clock tower. The impact of Su Song's clock tower was profound. It co-located the peak of medieval Chinese mechanical engineering and astronomy. It demonstrated an advanced understanding of kinematics, hydromechanics, and the complex interplay of gears and chains. The tower stood as a symbol of the Song dynasty's technological prowess and its commitment to scientific knowledge. It was a source of great pride for the people of Kaifeng. While the tower itself was eventually dismantled or destroyed due to invasions and the passage of time, Su Song's written record preserved its legacy. His detailed descriptions allowed for future generations to understand the intricate workings of this ancient marvel, cementing his place as one of the most brilliant inventors of the medieval era. Provided a clear example of the innovative spirit that existed in China during that period. Number 6. Ibn al-Haytham. In the 10th and 11th centuries, during the Islamic Golden Age, lived a scholar in Basra, now in modern-day Iraq, whose ideas changed the way people understood light, vision, and the very nature of scientific inquiry. His full name was Abu Ali al-Hasan ibn al-Haytham, but he is often known in the Western world as Al-Hazan. Born in 965 AD, Ibn al-Haytham was a polymath, excelling in mathematics, astronomy, and most famously, optics. His work was so fundamental that he is often called the father of optics and a pioneer of the modern scientific method. He did not just theorize, he experimented, tested, and built. Before Ibn al-Haytham, many ancient Greek scholars believed that vision worked by rays emanating from the eye touching objects and thus allowing us to see them. This idea was widely accepted, but Ibn al-Haytham challenged this long-held belief through rigorous experimentation and careful observation. He proposed that vision occurs when light rays enter the eye from an external source, reflecting off objects. He systematically tested his ideas, a process that was revolutionary for its time and laid the groundwork for the modern scientific method. He did not just accept what was taught, he questioned it and sought to prove or disprove it through repeatable tests. His most important invention, or at least his most famous and influential experiment, was the camera obscura. While the principle of the camera obscura, a dark room with a small hole that projects an inverted image of the outside world onto a wall, might have been observed before, Ibn al-Haytham was the first to provide a clear and systematic explanation for how it worked. He used it to demonstrate that light travels in straight lines, and that vision is caused by light entering the eye, not by rays leaving it. He described how the image formed was inverted because light from the top of the object passed through the pinhole and went to the bottom of the projected image, and vice versa. This was a crucial piece of evidence for his theory of vision. Ibn al-Haytham constructed a dark chamber with a small pinhole. He then observed how images from outside the chamber were projected onto the opposite wall, upside down and reversed, left to right. He realized that each point on an illuminated object sends out light rays in all directions, but only those rays that pass through the tiny pinhole reach the screen. Because the hole is so small, the rays from different parts of the object do not mix much, allowing a clear image to form. This simple yet profound setup allowed him to prove his theories about light propagation. It showed how light itself carried information about the world. His magnum opus, Kitab al-Manazir, or Book of Optics, was a 7-volume treatise that compiled his extensive research and experiments on light and vision. In this book, he delved into topics like reflection, refraction, lenses, and the anatomy of the eye. He accurately described how the eye works, explaining that it is a complex organ that receives light and transmits it to the brain. He showed how convex lenses could magnify objects and how spherical and parabolic mirrors reflected light to a single focal point. His work on lenses became foundational for the later development of spectacles, telescopes, and microscopes in Europe. Ibn al-Haytham's rigorous approach to scientific inquiry was as important as his specific inventions. He emphasized experimentation, observation, and mathematical proof, which were radical concepts for his era. He believed that theories should be tested against empirical evidence, and he meticulously documented his experiments. This methodical approach helped establish the foundations of modern experimental science. Scientists who came after him built on his ideas for centuries, leading to breakthroughs in optics and other fields. His ideas on light and vision were eventually translated into Latin and became highly influential in medieval Europe, shaping the thoughts of scholars like Roger Bacon and Johannes Kepler. His work on the camera obscura was not just an academic exercise. It was a practical demonstration of how light behaves. It showed that it was possible to capture images using only light and a simple setup, a principle that would eventually lead to the invention of photography centuries later. His legacy is one of a scholar who dared to challenge established wisdom, using careful observation and experimentation to uncover the truth. Truly was a master inventor of methods and devices that revealed the secrets of light and vision. His contributions were a monumental leap forward in understanding the natural world. Number 5. Abbas ibn Firnas. In the 9th century, in Al-Andalus, the part of Spain under Islamic rule, lived a man whose intellect soared as high as his ambitions. His name was Abbas ibn Firnas. Born in 810 AD in Ronda, he was a polymath who excelled in astronomy, engineering, poetry, and even music. He was a master of many trades, but it is his bold experiments and groundbreaking inventions that mark him as one of the most intriguing figures of the early medieval period. He lived in Cordoba, the intellectual capital of his time, where he engaged in various scholarly pursuits. Abbas ibn Firnas was a true pioneer, constantly pushing the boundaries of what was thought possible. His most famous, and perhaps most daring endeavor, was his attempt at controlled flight. Around the year 875 AD, when he was in his mid-60s, he constructed a pair of wings made of wood and silk, adorned with real feathers. He then launched himself from a high point, possibly a tower or a mountain, attempting to fly. Historical accounts suggest he remained airborne for a significant amount of time, perhaps around 10 minutes, covering a considerable distance before encountering difficulties upon landing. He reportedly suffered injuries due to not understanding the importance of a tail for stability and braking upon landing. This event, witnessed by a crowd, was a remarkable feat for its time. making him one of the earliest known humans to attempt and achieve prolonged flight. Demonstrated an incredible bravery and a profound curiosity about the mechanics of avian flight. But Ibn Firnaz's inventive spirit was not limited to the sky. He was also a skilled engineer on the ground. He designed and built a sophisticated water clock, known as Al-Mikata. This clock was far more intricate than simple sundials or basic water vessels. While the exact details of its mechanism are not fully known, it was reputed to be highly accurate and complex for its era, demonstrating his advanced understanding of hydraulics and mechanical timekeeping. It allowed for the accurate measurement of time both day and night, which was a significant improvement for daily life and religious observances. Beyond mechanics, Ibn Firnaz was a master of materials science. He developed a method for manufacturing artificial crystals, a skill that was rare and highly valued. This was not a simple process. It required precise control over temperature and chemical reactions. He also improved the process of making glass from sand, making it clearer and more durable than previous methods. His glass-making techniques were so advanced that the glass he produced was known for its superior quality. He used this improved glass to create various optical lenses, which were used for magnification and possibly for astronomical observations. These lenses were a testament to his understanding of materials and light. His house in Cordoba became a center of innovation. He created a planetarium-like room in his home, complete with rotating mechanical planets and stars powered by a complex mechanism. This device simulated the movements of the celestial bodies, providing a tangible way to understand astronomy. It was a private observatory and a display of his engineering prowess, captivating anyone who witnessed. This was an incredibly advanced piece of apparatus, for its time allowing him to visualize the cosmos in a dynamic way. It was a blend of art, science, and engineering. Abbas ibn Firnaz's contributions were widely recognized in his time. He was a significant figure in the court of the Umayyad caliphs of Cordoba, who patronized his work. His efforts in flight, even if partially successful, inspired later generations of thinkers and engineers to consider the possibility of human flight. His chemical and material innovations, such as the artificial crystal and improved glass, had practical applications that benefited society. His legacy is one of relentless experimentation and fearless pursuit of knowledge. Whether it was soaring through the air or crafting beautiful functional objects from raw materials, he truly was a polymath whose inventive mind left a lasting mark on the medieval world. Number 4. Johannes Gutenberg. In the mid-15th century, Europe was undergoing a quiet revolution, but it was one that would shake the very foundations of knowledge and power. At its heart was a German goldsmith, an inventor named Johannes Gutenberg, born around 1400 in Mainz. His masterpiece, the movable type printing press, was not just an invention. It was a catalyst that transformed the way information was created, disseminated, and consumed. Before Gutenberg, books were copied by hand, a slow, expensive, and error-prone process that made them rare and accessible only to the wealthy elite and religious institutions. Gutenberg's genius lay in combining several existing technologies and refining them into a cohesive, highly efficient system. He didn't invent printing itself. Woodblock printing had existed for centuries in Asia. His true innovation was the development of movable type. He figured out how to cast individual metal letters, numbers, and punctuation marks in a way that was uniform and durable. These individual characters could then be arranged to form words, lines, and entire pages of text. Once a page was printed, the types could be rearranged and reused for the next page or book. This was a monumental leap from carving entire pages into wooden blocks. The process involved several key inventions and refinements. First, Gutenberg developed a punch and matrix system for creating the type. He would engrave a letter onto a steel punch, then strike this punch into a softer metal, usually copper, to create a mold or matrix. This matrix was then inserted into a special hand mold, and molten lead alloy was poured in to cast the individual metal characters. This allowed for the mass production of uniform high-quality type that could withstand repeated use. The molten metal would cool quickly, forming a solid letter with a perfect face. Next, he developed an oil-based ink that would adhere well to metal type and transfer effectively onto paper or vellum. Traditional water-based inks used for woodblock printing or manuscript writing would run off the metal. Gutenberg's oil-based ink was thicker and richer, providing a crisp, dark impression. This was a critical step in ensuring the legibility and durability of printed texts. The ink had to dry quickly, but not too fast, and remain sticky enough to transfer. Finally, he adapted and improved the existing screw press, which was commonly used for pressing grapes or olives, into a printing press. His press applied even and powerful pressure across the entire printing surface, ensuring a clear and consistent impression from the inked type onto the paper. Platen, the flat surface that pressed down, was designed to apply pressure evenly. This mechanical press drastically reduced the time and effort needed to produce printed pages compared to hand rubbing. One person could operate. The first major work printed by Gutenberg was the Bible, completed around 1455. This Bible, often called the Gutenberg Bible, was a masterpiece of printing, renowned for its beauty, clarity, and quality. It consisted of 1,286 pages, printed in 2 columns, and decorated with elaborate illuminated letters added by hand after printing. Creation of such a massive and complex book demonstrated the incredible potential of his new technology. It showed that his system was not just for short pamphlets, but for entire volumes. The impact of Gutenberg's movable type printing press was immediate and profound. It enabled the rapid and relatively inexpensive production of books, pamphlets, and other printed materials. This led to a dramatic increase in literacy, as books became more widely available and affordable. Knowledge, which had previously been confined to monasteries and elite circles, began to spread to the masses. Ideas, scientific discoveries, and religious texts could now be distributed across continents in quantities previously unimaginable. News and books then began to travel much faster than ever before. Gutenberg's invention sparked a communication revolution that transformed education, religion, and politics. It facilitated the Renaissance, the Protestant Reformation, and the scientific revolution by making new ideas accessible to a broader audience. His work fundamentally altered the landscape of human communication and information sharing, making him one of the most significant inventors in history. He truly opened the floodgates of information, changing society forever. Number 3. Roger Bacon. In 13th century England, a Franciscan friar named Roger Bacon, born around 1214, emerged as one of the most fascinating and forward-thinking scholars of his age. He was a philosopher, alchemist, and scientist who tirelessly advocated for the importance of empirical observation and experimentation long before these concepts became mainstream. Bacon's scholarly pursuits were vast, encompassing linguistics, mathematics, optics, and natural philosophy. While he didn't invent as many physical devices as some others on this list, his groundbreaking work in optics, his early understanding of gunpowder, and his visionary predictions of future technologies firmly establish him as a master inventor of ideas and foundation principles. Roger Bacon was a vocal proponent of what he called experimental science. He argued that true knowledge could only be gained through direct observation, testing and verifying theories through experiments, rather than simply relying on ancient texts or logical arguments. This was a radical idea in an era dominated by scholasticism, which focused heavily on interpreting established authorities. He believed that the power of experiment was boundless and could reveal secrets of nature that mere reasoning could not. His commitment to this method is one of his greatest legacies. One of Bacon's most significant contributions was in the field of optics. He conducted extensive studies on light and vision, drawing heavily on the work of Ibn al-Haytham, whose Book of Optics he studied meticulously. Bacon experimented with lenses and mirrors, correctly describing how light reflects and refracts. He made important observations about how lenses could be used to magnify objects, leading him to envision what we now know as spectacles. He described how a carefully ground lens could improve vision for those with poor eyesight. While he may not have manufactured the first actual spectacles, his theoretical understanding and clear descriptions of their potential function laid the groundwork for their invention soon after his death. His work was a key step toward practical applications of optical science. Bacon is also credited with having one of the earliest documented understandings of gunpowder in Europe. While gunpowder was developed centuries earlier in China, Bacon's writings contain a secret formula for gunpowder that is remarkably close to effective compositions. In his work, Epistola de Secretis Operibus Artis et Naturae et de Nullitate Magiae, Letter on the Secret Works of Art and Nature, and on the Nullity of Magic, he famously wrote a coded repartees and potential uses in military applications. He understood its destructive power and the necessary components, even if he presented it in a riddling manner to protect its knowledge. This early European understanding of gunpowder's components and explosive nature shows his keen interest in practical chemistry and its applications. Perhaps most astonishing were Bacon's visionary predictions of future inventions centuries before their time. He wrote about flying machines that would be able to carry humans through the air, self-propelled boats that could move without oars or sails, and carriages without horses that could travel at incredible speeds. He also described machines that could lift enormous weights and bridges that could span vast rivers without support. These were not mere fantasies. Bacon described them as being within the realm of possibility through the application of advanced mechanical principles and natural philosophy. He believed that human ingenuity, guided by experimental science, could unlock these wonders. These were not just flights of fancy, but based on his understanding of mechanics and physics. Bacon's writings, particularly his Opus Majus, were an appeal to Pope Clement IV for support of experimental science. He argued that practical applications of science could greatly benefit humanity. His influence on later scholars, particularly in England, was significant, inspiring a tradition of empirical inquiry that would eventually lead to the scientific revolution. Although he faced opposition and sometimes imprisonment for his radical ideas, his relentless pursuit of knowledge through experimentation laid down vital intellectual pathways. He was a beacon of scientific thought in an age that was just beginning to embrace systematic inquiry. He saw the potential of scientific discovery to transform the world in ways others could not yet comprehend. Number 2. Pope Sylvester II. In the 10th century, a man named Gerbert of Aurillac, born around 946 AD in what is now France, rose through the ranks of the Church to become Pope Sylvester II in 999 AD. But before he wore the papal tiara, Gerbert was a brilliant scholar-teacher and, perhaps surprisingly, a master inventor. His intellectual curiosity led him to study in Islamic Spain, where he absorbed knowledge from Arabic texts on mathematics, astronomy, and technology. This exposure to advanced scientific concepts, largely unknown in Christian Europe at the time, made him a unique figure whose inventions and teachings significantly impacted medieval European thought. One of Gerbert's most important contributions was the introduction of Arabic numerals and the abacus to Europe. While these seem simple now, their adoption was revolutionary. Roman numerals were cumbersome for complex calculations. The Arabic numeral system, with its place value system and the concept of zero, made arithmetic much easier and more efficient. Gerbert learned about these numerals during his studies in Cordoba, a center of learning in Islamic Spain. He then taught them to his students back in Europe, advocating for their use. To facilitate calculations with these new numbers, he introduced and popularized the use of a modified abacus. His abacus was not just a counting frame. It used specially designed tokens marked with Hindu-Arabic numerals, making calculations faster and more accurate than anything known in Europe before. This innovation greatly improved computational methods in the West. Gerbert's inventive genius also extended to astronomy and timekeeping. He was known for constructing sophisticated astronomical instruments. He designed and built an improved astrolabe, a portable device used to make astronomical measurements, determine time, and calculate latitude. His astrolabes were more precise than earlier European versions, incorporating more advanced features learned from Arabic treatises. He taught his students how to construct and use these instruments, making astronomical observation more accessible. He also built a unique celestial globe, a model of the heavens that showed the stars and constellations. This was not just a static map, but a tool for teaching and understanding celestial movements. One of Gerbert's most extraordinary inventions, though less well documented in its exact mechanics, was a hydraulic organ. This organ was powered by water pressure and was said to produce powerful and resonant sounds. Medieval accounts describe it as a marvel, producing music through the ingenious use of flowing water. While the exact design details are scarce, the existence of such a device demonstrates his deep understanding of hydraulics and acoustics. This would have been a highly complex machine, requiring precise control over water flow and air pressure to create musical notes. It was a testament to his engineering skill and his artistic sensibilities. Gerbert also designed various practical tools and devices. He was known for his mechanical clocks, which, while perhaps not as elaborate as later medieval clocks, were considered highly accurate for their time. He understood the principles of gears and weights needed for accurate timekeeping, contributing to the slow but steady improvement of time measurement technology in Europe. His ability to build and teach the construction of such devices made him a highly sought-after mentor. His intellectual influence was immense. As a teacher at the Cathedral School of Reims, and later as Pope, he actively promoted the study of science and mathematics. He collected and translated Arabic scientific texts into Latin, making vital knowledge accessible to a wider European audience. His own inventions and teaching methods stimulated a new wave of intellectual inquiry and technological advancement in the West. He was a bridge between the advanced learning of the Islamic world and a Europe that was slowly emerging from the Dark Ages. Gerbert of Aurillac, Pope Sylvester II, was not just a spiritual leader, but a true master, inventor, and scholar who laid the groundwork for future scientific development in Europe, showing the power of combining ancient knowledge with new ideas. His legacy as an innovator helped to spark the intellectual revival of the 11th century. Number 1. Al-Biruni. Born in 973 AD in Khorasan, in what is now Uzbekistan, Abu Rayhan al-Biruni was a Persian polymath whose intellect spanned an astonishing range of fields. He was a mathematician, astronomer, physicist, philosopher, historian, cartographer, and pharmacologist. Al-Biruni was not just a scholar who wrote about ideas. He was a meticulous observer and a master inventor of instruments that allowed him to conduct groundbreaking research and make precise measurements of the world around him. His systematic approach and commitment to empirical data set him apart as one of the most brilliant minds of the Islamic Golden Age. Al-Biruni's contributions to geodesy, the science of measuring the Earth's shape and size, were revolutionary. He devised a new method for calculating the Earth's circumference. Instead of measuring along a flat plane, which was difficult and inaccurate, he proposed and executed a method involving observing the dip of the horizon from the top of a mountain of known height. By measuring the angle of the dip and applying trigonometry, he could calculate the Earth's radius. To achieve this, he invented and used a specialized sextant, a device for measuring angles between celestial bodies and the horizon. This method was far more accurate than previous attempts and demonstrated his deep understanding of mathematics and observation. He used this method to estimate the Earth's circumference with remarkable accuracy, coming very close to modern values. His inventive genius also shone in his creation of a highly sophisticated mechanical geared calendar. This device was essentially an early form of a mechanical computer, designed to display astronomical information and calculate the precise times of various celestial events. It tracked the movements of the sun and moon, indicated the phases of the moon, and predicted eclipses. The intricate system of gears, cogs, and dials allowed it to perform complex astronomical calculations automatically. This was a testament to his mastery of mechanical engineering and his desire to make complex astronomical data accessible. It was a marvel of precision engineering for its time. Al-Biruni designed and improved numerous other scientific instruments. He crafted a more precise astrolabe, a device used for navigating and observing celestial bodies. His versions were more accurate and versatile, allowing for better measurements of star positions and time. He also invented a pygnometer, a special flask used to accurately determine the density or specific gravity of various substances. This instrument was crucial for his work in mineralogy and chemistry, allowing him to precisely measure the properties of different materials. This was an important tool for understanding the composition of matter. His book, Kitab al-Jamahir fi Makrifat al-Jahir, Book on Gems, details his research on the properties of minerals and metals for which his pygnometer was invaluable. He also developed a method for measuring the specific gravity of various gems and minerals, making his observations more scientific and quantitative. He categorized stones not just by color or hardness, but by their precise densities, a crucial step in early mineralogy. This systematic approach to classification showed his analytical mind. Al-Biruni's commitment to empirical science and his systematic approach to invention are evident throughout his vast body of work. He believed in testing theories through observation and measurement, and he built the tools necessary to do so. His writings, such as Canon Mesudicus, a monumental work on astronomy, mathematics, and geography, are filled with descriptions of his methods and the instruments he used. He meticulously documented his procedures, allowing others to verify and build upon his findings. He emphasized the importance of measurement and careful data collection. His legacy as an inventor lies not just in the devices he created, but in his pioneering spirit of scientific inquiry. He invented the tools that allowed him to explore the natural world with unprecedented accuracy, from the vastness of the Earth's circumference to the precise density of a gemstone. Al-Biruni was a master of both thought and craft, showing how deep scholarship could directly lead to groundbreaking practical inventions that changed understanding. His work provided a foundation for centuries of scientific progress in fields ranging from geology to astronomy.